Welcome to the It Factor. We're Jemmy and Nye, exploring a new blog post by Mr. Len Kaplan,
Okay.
CEO of CDML and MSP in Queens, NY, offering network management,
Wow.
VoIP and UCAS, cybersecurity compliance, IaaS, cloud, and Microsoft 365 and Azure.
Nice.
If you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, this episode is for you.
Stay tuned.
Ready to dive into some serious cybersecurity talk?
Absolutely. Today we're unpacking a blog post about the upcoming HIPAA cybersecurity revisions.
Right.
And trust me, this is huge for anyone handling patient data,
For sure.
especially small business owners like you.
It's not just a tech issue. It's about protecting your practice and your patients.
Okay, so first things first.
Yeah.
The healthcare sector is facing a tidal wave of cyber threats.
Yeah.
I was floored by some of the stats in this blog post.
Oh, really?
Did you know that since 2019, large breaches caused by hacking and ransomware are up almost 90%?
It's a scary trend, and the costs are through the roof.
We're talking over $10 million per incident on average. And these aren't just numbers on a page.
Right.
These are real-world attacks that can cripple a small practice.
Exactly. I mean, think about the fallout from those attacks on Change Healthcare and Ascension.
Yeah.
It really hits home how vulnerable we are.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's no surprise that higher HIPAA security rules are finally getting a major update, the first in over a decade.
The current rules are outdated, and they're just not equipped to handle the sophisticated threats we're seeing today.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the new rules are being modeled after guidelines from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology.
Got it.
They're the gold standard for cybersecurity frameworks.
And while the official rules aren't out just yet,
Right.
we do have a sneak peek thanks to the White House.
Oh.
It looks like they're going to touch on every aspect of healthcare cybersecurity.
That's right.
Wow.
And it's a pretty comprehensive overhaul.
Okay.
We're talking about everything from risk assessment and access control
To encryption, incident response, and workforce training.
So let's break this down.
Cool.
Starting with risk assessment,
Sure.
it sounds like we're going to need documented, regular assessments, especially after any system changes.
That's right.
This is a big shift towards proactive security.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's about identifying vulnerabilities before they become a problem.
Yeah.
The old set it and forget it approach to security just won't cut it anymore.
And speaking of knowing your vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
controlling who has access to sensitive data is going to be critical.
Right.
I'm seeing a lot about unique user IDs, stricter procedures for granting access, and even a push for multi-factor authentication, or MFA.
Sure.
I know we hear about MFA a lot.
Right.
But how big of a deal is this for healthcare specifically?
It's massive.
Really?
Think about it.
Okay.
Healthcare data is incredibly valuable on the dark web.
Wow.
With MFA, even if someone steals a password,
They can't get in without that second layer of authentication?
Right.
Like a code sent to your phone.
got it.
It's a huge deterrent for hackers.
So it's like that extra lock on your front door.
Exactly.
It might not stop the most determined criminals, but it definitely makes your data a less appealing target.
Exactly. And let's not forget about encryption.
Okay.
Another cornerstone of the new rules.
Got it.
All electronic health information,
Yeah.
or ETHI, will need to be encrypted both at rest and in transit.
What does that look like in practice?
Well,
Like, are we talking about specific types of encryption that we need to be aware of?
yes, the industry standard for HIPAA-compliant encryption is AES 256.
Okay.
It's considered virtually unbreakable with current technology.
Wow.
So when choosing software or services, make sure they utilize AES 256 encryption to safeguard your patient data.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
So we've got risk assessment, access control, and encryption.
right.
What else is on the horizon?
Well, one area that often gets overlooked, but
Okay.
is absolutely critical,
Okay.
is audit controls.
Okay.
The new rules are going to mandate regular review of activity logs, and thankfully, we have some amazing automated tools that can help with that.
I can see how that would be a game changer for a small business owner.
Right.
It takes the burden off trying to manually track everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the what-if scenario.
Yeah.
What happens if there is a security breach?
Right. Incident response.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It is.
Okay.
The new rules are going to require clear, documented protocols for handling any security incident.
Got it.
This isn't just about having a plan.
Yeah.
It's about being prepared to execute it effectively.
So what would a robust incident response plan look like for a small practice?
Well, first and foremost, it's about speed.
Okay.
The faster you can identify and contain a breach,
Right.
the less damage it can cause.
Okay.
So you need a clear process for reporting,
Yeah.
assessing, and responding to incidents. This includes identifying who's responsible for what,
Uh-huh.
how you'll communicate with patients and authorities,
Got it.
and what steps you'll take to mitigate the damage.
So it's like having a fire drill,
Exactly.
but for cyber attack.
You need to practice your response plan regularly,
Yeah.
just like you would a fire drill.
Okay.
This helps ensure everyone knows what to do in a real emergency.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of the human factor,
Right.
which brings us to another key area, workforce training.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even with the best technology in place,
Yeah.
human error is still one of the biggest security risks.
Right.
Ongoing security awareness training is non-negotiable for all employees.
I know some people might groan at the thought of more training.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be boring.
Right.
There's some really innovative programs out there that make it engaging and even fun.
Definitely. And you can tailor the training to your specific needs and risks.
Yeah.
Focus on things like phishing scams, password security,
Got it.
and recognizing social engineering tactics.
Oh.
The more informed your employees are, the stronger your first line of defense.
It's all about empowering your team to be security champions.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the business associates you work with.
Right.
They also need to be up to par on security,
Okay.
as any vulnerabilities in their systems could impact you.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We're all interconnected in this digital world.
Uh-huh.
So it's important to make sure everyone in your network is taking security seriously.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
The cost of implementing all these changes.
Right.
The White House estimates it could cost the industry around $9 billion the first year,
Wow.
and then $6 billion annually after that.
That's a significant investment, especially for a small business.
Yeah.
Some might be tempted to put it off
Uh-huh.
or try to cut corners.
I understand that concern, but
Yeah.
you have to weigh that against the potential cost of a breach. Remember those figures we talked about earlier?
Right.
Over $10 million per incident on average.
Wow.
And that doesn't even factor in the damage to your reputation
Wow.
and the loss of patient trust.
It's like that old saying,
Yeah.
an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Right.
Investing in cybersecurity now is much less costly than dealing with a breach later.
Exactly. And you don't have to go it alone.
Yeah.
There are resources available to help, including companies like CDML
Right.
that specialize in guiding businesses through this process.
So they
It can help assess your needs,
Yeah.
develop a plan,
Right.
and implement the right solutions for your budget.
So for our listeners who are small business owners feeling a bit overwhelmed by all this,
Yeah.
what's one concrete step they can take today to start moving in the right direction?
One of the most impactful things you can do right now is conduct a thorough review of your current security practices.
Okay, so like a security checkup.
Exactly. Take a close look at everything, from your password policies and access controls
Right.
to your data backup and recovery procedures.
Got it.
Identify any areas that might need strengthening in light of these upcoming changes.
So it's about being proactive and getting ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And remember, you don't have to be a cybersecurity expert to do this.
Right.
There are plenty of resources available to help,
Yeah.
including free tools and guides from organizations like NIST and the Department of Health and Human Services.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And it emphasizes something we've been talking about throughout this deep dive.
Right.
Knowledge is power.
For sure.
The more you understand about these new rules and the evolving threat landscape, the better equipped you'll be to protect your practice and your patients.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
This blog post by Len Kaplan really drives that point home.
Yeah.
He talks about how these HIPAA revisions aren't just about compliance.
Right.
They're about upholding the core values of healthcare:
Okay.
compassion, trust, and responsibility.
It's a powerful reminder that cybersecurity is ultimately about people.
Yeah.
It's about safeguarding sensitive information
Uh-huh.
and protecting the well-being of those who entrust us with their care.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when you view it through that lens,
Yeah.
it becomes more than just a technical checklist.
Yeah.
It's an ethical imperative.
Well said.
Yeah.
So for all our listeners out there, small business owners,
Right.
healthcare providers,
Right. Yeah.
anyone handling sensitive data,
Got it.
remember that while these new HIPAA security rules might seem daunting,
Uh-huh.
they're ultimately about doing the right thing.
They're about building a more secure and trustworthy healthcare system for everyone.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into HIPAA cybersecurity revisions. We hope you found it informative and empowering.
Yeah.
Remember, even small steps can make a big difference when it comes to cybersecurity.